The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I have no idea who I am.
That's right.
After a triple shooting on Pine Street, I lost my mind.
Well, wow, what a surprise. Let's market Fall River. Remember, they're going to come in droves. Just keep building that market rate housing. Now, we're going to be like #1 plus the most dangerous cities. We couldn't take the fact that Hartford beat us out.
No, we got to beat Hartford.
We got to beat Hartford, and we're working hard. That's the second shooting in that area. The last time they didn't hit anybody, I guess shooting at that van, their aim's getting better. They hit 3 people last night, so I don't, and look, welcome to Fall River, but remember, Steve Long saw, what were those
a thriving metropolis.
I look at Fall River and I see a thriving metropolis. I don't know. You better have your eyes checked. And of course, Joe Camara and Steve Camara saying like, stop saying Fall River's not a beautiful place because you're lying. The whole world's lying. USA Today, the Wall Street Journal, every ranking firm in the world that tells us that we have the highest poverty levels, everybody's lying. The only people that know what's going on is the city council. And the city council in the Chamber of Horrors, all they know how to do is tax and spend. Tax and spend. The hell with it, the tax rate keeps going up, your wages don't go up. Your wages do not go up, but they know how to tax. That's one of our stories today. High Court, online shoppers can be forced to pay
state sales tax.
Online purchases. Remember, this is what they do best. Take the money from the people who can least afford it, while they justify giving tips to the people with the millionaires. Tax breaks for the millionaires, bankruptcy for the average working man. And then to segue into this, what they do best, taxing, to show how disingenuous and full of absolute crap they are. Lawmakers approve wage benefits, a watered-down version to increase the minimum wage. And all the businesses will be whining, and they'll get taxes to increase their businesses. And realistically, they'll say, well, we're going to have to go out of business. Well, they're going to go out of business anyway. The minimum wage really is not that, it's not that big a deal. You know why? Because all these predatory employers, their first priority after getting tax breaks is to eliminate employees and employee costs.
Just look at Stop and Shop and Walmart.
Look at Amazon.
And look at Amazon, yeah.
The bottom line is, if your wage goes up a minuscule amount, they give you a minuscule benefit, they're either going to replace you with a robot and they'll stay in the United States if they get a tax break and they get to use robots and eliminate virtually all their workforce, or they'll move to Mexico or Bangladesh or Vietnam or somewhere else, and they'll get their low-wage labor there at extremely low wages. I mean, look, this country, they've eliminated the middle class. Now they're even eliminating fundamentally the lower class. I mean, there's no way anybody can survive because all they do is tax the people that make the least, give tax breaks to the biggest corporations, and they always whine. Oh, Ocean State job lot, we need a tax break because we're expanding. You're expanding what? You're going to give out, 6 part-time jobs? Minimum wage part-time jobs? So you deserve, so it's okay to put that multi-million-dollar tax burden on the people that have virtually no income to pay it. So, you know, wake up out there. You know, this is all propaganda. Oh, we need it. We need it. We're going to expand. We're going to hire more people. Yeah, hire more minimum wage people, mostly part-time. Stop and Shop has virtually no full-time employees except management. They hire everybody and give them a minimum of 15 hours and virtually no benefits. And all of the, you know, I mean, this started way back in the Reagan era. I know all you Republicans think he's the second coming of Christ. You know, you worship him. But there's a book called, you know, The American Economy, What Went Wrong, by a couple of economists that was written during his era on how he helped destroy it. But during that era and shortly thereafter, that's when companies began to realize that if they laid off all their full-time workforce and hired part-timers with no benefits, they were going to make even more money. You think they care about the working people? Absolutely not. So I remember one instance shortly thereafter where the bank that made the highest profit in the United States, and I forgot which one it was now, but it was one of the multinational banks, they made billions of dollars in profit. They led the league. They laid off their entire workforce, except for management, and then rehired them all at part-time with no benefits.
J.P. Morgan Chase.
Probably.
Yep, I think it was J.P. Morgan Chase.
Yeah, it's probably one of the multinationals. But this is what they do. You know, anybody who's delusionary enough that's been alive for the last 20 years or 25 years and hasn't figured out that no arm of government, local, state, or federal, cares anything about the average working person, let alone the lower income on the lower scale in places like Fall River. Forget it. Absolutely forget it. They don't care. They're going to water down the minimum wage increase and they'll say, oh, we can't do it because the businesses will go bankrupt. Then they give that same business tax breaks, and then that business hires only part-timers and doesn't pay any benefits, or they replace you with a robot, or they move out of the country. So, you know, wake up. Look at the statistics. They don't lie. Look at the increase in profits in big business, and look at the increase in the average wage of a working person in the United States for the past 10, 15, 20 years. It's virtually non-existent. So if that doesn't tell you we need to overthrow the government, but we can't overthrow it the way they did in 1776. We can't all pick up our muskets and charge the empire because, I mean, they've got a lot more weaponry than we do. Half the police departments in the United States are like armies now. They got Humvees, flak jackets. They got as much military. They get all the military surplus. They're all armed to the teeth. So what does government spend their money on? Government spends their money on giving tax breaks to big business, allowing them to get robots to replace everybody, and screwing you, the taxpayer. What do they focus on? They focus on, oh, are we going to separate the families of the immigrants and stuff like that? And so who's going to pay for it? Now we're going to keep the families together. Who's going to feed them? Who's going to house them? Who's going to clothe them? You and your tax dollar. Should we? Maybe. Some people say maybe we should. I say we should only do it after every congressman who's pandering to these groups can tell me, stand in front of me and assure me that every single veteran in the United States has a home to live in, has the medical care they need, and is being taken care of. And that every American child is getting 3 meals a day. And they can't. There are literally hundreds of thousands of veterans suffering from post-traumatic stress and other issues who serve their country honorably, that go without care or go with substandard care in VA hospitals. I pay my taxes for those people. I pay my taxes to feed Americans. And I don't care if you dislike my opinion. That's just my opinion. Just like sticking a needle in your arm, leaving Guatemala or Uruguay or any other place and coming to the American border somehow qualifies you for special consideration. You did that voluntarily. You want to file for status? Fine. Leave your family in Uruguay or Paraguay or whatever guay you come from. Go up to the border, fill out your paperwork, and go back and wait to see if you get accepted. Like my grandparents did, like everybody else in this country's parents did legally. You somehow come here from a country and then you expect that's reverse discrimination on Americans. Like I said, look, I don't care whether you agree with me, because you know what you can do if you don't agree with me. Because I'll tell you what, every time I go to a city like Boston, I see a veteran sitting out on a sidewalk with a cup. I say, why isn't he somewhere getting cared for? Why is he there? You think he wants to be there? No, he may have to be there. He may have psychological issues, physical issues, or whatever. We still have men dying every single day, virtually, somewhere in the world. It was less than a month ago a Special Forces staff sergeant was killed in Somalia and 4 men were wounded. Now, we're not supposed to be at war with Somalia. It's been a long time since Black Hawk Down till they dragged our men, our Army Rangers, through the streets. But I still remember that. And I know there are Special Forces people over there right now in Somalia, and they're being shot at. When they come home, they're going to have less rights than somebody that came into this country illegally, and I don't care what you believe, I think you're wrong. So I said that, I had to get that out, because you know, every day I turn on the news, I got to watch that down on the border, and I watch the politicians pandering and caving in and doing everything because everybody's in an uproar. Did we separate families before?
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. But it was a Democratic president who was separating the families, wasn't it?
Yep.
Democrats forgot all that now. Now you got Nancy Pelosi and all the rest of them waving their arms, and yeah, this is unconscionable. When Obama did it, it was okay. Hey, we're just enforcing the law. You know, the reality is, you want to come to America, call me crazy, but when the Irish came to America, every ethnic group, the Chinese came to America, they all came to build the railroads, and there were signs that said no dogs or Irishmen allowed in the bar. They pulled themselves up. They assimilated into the society.
They took over New York.
They took over New York at Tammany Hall. That's right. They created politics, the Irish. Tammany Hall is an institution in political history. They took them off the boat. They gave them a piece of bread, a coffee, and they marched them to Tammany Hall and registered them to vote. I think we've all seen Gangs of New York. That's basically based in fact. Tammany Hall did exist. But what did they do? America truly was a melting pot. Did they have it tough? Yeah, and so did every other ethnic group. The Italians, the Irish, the Portuguese, the French, all of them. Were they discriminated against? Absolutely. Did this happen? Did we give them special consideration? No. We said, hey, assimilate or go back to where you came from. And from the Pilgrims till today, all those groups did. All the people that lived in Little Italy, New York, you know, and all the Irish and all the ethnic groups all did the same. I mean, the Japanese suffered the ultimate in persecution during the Second World War. Japanese Americans were stuck in concentration camps because they were Japanese. The Germans didn't get stuck in concentration camps. And ironically enough, as I said before, the most highly decorated unit in the European theater of operation during the Second World War was an all-Japanese unit, all volunteers. They also had the most medals of honor of any unit in the European theater of operation. All Japanese Americans, all of whom their wives, their children, their mothers, their fathers were in concentration camps. Learn your history. Stop whining and wanting us to be the godfather for everybody that comes to our border. Let them come in legally. And that's my opinion. So don't, I'm not saying you can agree, you can agree or disagree, and I personally don't care. And you're not going to convince me otherwise. So all you bleeding hearts that want to come up and whine to me, save your breath.
This rant brought to you by the same people who brought you the Trump administration.
Well, and you know, and I don't agree with everything he does either. And I don't agree with the fact that he caved. I would have liked to see him stand up and say, let's do what Obama did. Let's do what everybody did. These people came here voluntarily. It's like the heroin. All you got to do is do something wrong today, and it'll make an excuse for you if there's enough of you to either make money or get enough votes for the, you know, so they can pander to your group. You're not going to tell me that the Democrats are this worried about this all of a sudden when they weren't worried about it when we had a Democratic president, because they're pandering to the Latino vote. I mean, you got to be totally nuts not to believe that. You got to be totally crazy. I'm not a Republican. I dislike I dislike all politicians, because the fact is, all they do, remember one thing, this is my definition, it's not in any dictionary, but the difference between a Republican and a Democrat is a Republican steals from the poor and gives to the rich, and a Democrat steals from the poor and gives a little bit back. That's the only difference. They'll support a few programs like Medicare just to keep, and it's only not because they're altruistic, it's because that's their voting base. Because without lower income people, no Democrat would ever get elected. That's their base. So, you know, I'm pragmatic enough to understand that. So, you know, don't, you know, like I said, if you're going to urinate out of my head, extend me to courtesy and not trying to convince me it's raining. Because I've been around too damn long and watched this go on too long to believe all this propaganda. This country is unraveling at the seams. It was created to become America, and Teddy Roosevelt said there's no such thing as a hyphenated American, and that included naturalized Americans, but you have to be an American. This baloney of dividing everybody by ethnic groups, you're either legal or illegal. Sorry, don't put the label undocumented. Oh, now it's cruel. Now it's not. Now heroin addiction isn't a choice, it's a disease. So that's what we do now. And the country has become so political, and they pander to everybody, and this is what happens. And look at it. Watered down wage increases. High Court says you can pay more taxes. The budget includes pay as you throw. We finally got to this one. And Maura Healey pandering again, calling for an investigation of the House of Correction. All these things are just indicators of a society that's unraveling, because there's no continuity. This country you always had a problem because it wasn't a homogeneous country like Japan and most of these other countries where everybody came. We all came from different places. The thing that made us great was we all became Americans. And as Teddy said, there's no such thing as a hyphenate. Your loyalty has to be to America. And you also have to abide by its laws. And picking up your crap, and when your neighbor says, hey, grab a burlap bag, throw your stuff in a burlap bag, and let's head for the border because they're giving you 3 hots on a cot, and you might even get in.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, of course, and you know, and so what do we expect to happen? We expect that influx to be reduced if we don't start sending them back. You got to be in this. You know, this is the spectrum. You're way at the top of the spectrum if you believe that one.
Well, you know, it's tough because people want to do what's right. They think they're doing what's right, when in actuality they're just pandering to the politicians.
Yeah, you're right. They want to do what's right, CJ, but it's, you know, it's not right because they're preying on that instinct because they voluntarily brought their family here.
That's right.
And now they're going to do it on purpose because they're going to say, now I got a better chance of staying. If I show up alone to say I want immunity and I want to get, I'm being persecuted. Now it's even domestic abuse. I'm running away from a husband that beats me up. So I want asylum in the United States. Give me a break. I mean, they're doing this voluntarily. But like I said, all the Hollywood actors who'll never see them unless they hire them as a maid.
Under the table.
Yeah, under the table.
Illegally.
and, you know, they don't care because they don't have to suffer the consequences of these people. And also the taxes don't bother them. You know, that we're paying for these people, like I said. And my thing is always Americans. I know that children in this country go unfed every day. I know that veterans go untreated, and they don't have homes to live in. And you can say, well, why should we give them a house? They don't want to work. Well, yeah, you're right. But if they've got a psychological, physical issue, and they got that fighting for their country, you damn well better believe that I think we should spend our money on them first.
But remember, if you're an illegal alien that comes up to the border, we'll give you a house.
That's right.
We'll give you some money. We'll make sure that you got everything you need.
Yep.
So I don't want to hear it anymore. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Going back to some of these stories that we brought up about the lawmakers approved wage benefit bill in hopes of averting ballot question. Here's the thing. They watered it down because, number one, it takes the minimum wage to $15 a year in 5 years instead of 4.
Yep. And
it does not have on it a cost of living increase based upon whatever.
Yeah.
Tied to inflation.
Yeah.
So, again, your politicians, Mike Rodrigues, Alan Sylvia, Carol Fiola, Paul Schmidt,
and you know,
all voted to say, screw you, taxpayer.
Oh, they'll say we had to do that, but at least we got you the increase, but they gave them 5 years. You know what happens in 5 years? They'll either be out of the country, have a robot replacing you, or they'll be out of business.
Right. And the organization that put these questions together, because they have 3 questions, said the ballot question's future remains uncertain, although Raise Up said Wednesday that it will not bring its paid family and medical leave questions to the ballot if the deal agreed to Wednesday becomes law. The coalition of more than 100 groups said it will not decide until next week whether to drop its more drastic ballot effort to raise the minimum wage. I say, put the question forward. Let the voters decide.
Yeah, and then they'll just ignore it anyway, but who cares, right? So, and then, of course, our big deal, the pay-as-you-throw is included. So our mayor who wants to say, see, it's the city councils, but he didn't have to put that back.
No, he didn't. He could have gotten rid of it unilaterally. Now, here's the kicker, though. The budget went from $279,644,012 to $281,489,012. Are you seeing some numbers there?
Yeah.
That's a $2 million increase. Yep. What happened to 2.5? What happened to 2.3?
Look, that's our crack financial team.
And you've got people saying, well, the city council's trying to make the mayor look bad. that he can't get anything accomplished. No, the mayor's making himself look bad. You, Jazel, you are making yourself look bad. All you had to do is tell the city council, I said it's going. It's going. I'm terminating the contract forthwith, and now there's nothing to enforce. End of story. But you did not have the backbone, the cojones. You are a spineless, weak man or child that cannot stand up for what you promised the people. You are a liar.
Well,
did I make that clear, or do I have to exemplify?
Yeah, no, it was good. I like that. But, you know, the thing is, the reason he didn't stand up was because there would have been no city councilor, I don't believe. Well, I can say no. That's an absolute. There's no such thing as an absolute. But I think we would have never gotten to this point if the mayor could have showed how they made up that revenue without taking it from the taxpayer or some other department, and you can't. That's the problem. It created a hole in the budget, and that's why some of these councilors said, well, we can't get rid of it unless you tell us where you're going to get it from. Do we have some other source that you can say that isn't going to affect it? And remember, in light of a debt exclusion, if you said, well, yeah, we can absorb this because we've got enough money and show it, then people would have said, why did you people support the debt exclusion? Why did you give them the impetus? Why didn't the mayor come out and support Sean Kadim and say yes? Why did Kathy Ann Viveris lie to the JLMC and say we have no money? We had no money. We need a debt exclusion for the high school. We have no money. We can't give the police a pay raise. Now, all of a sudden, now we got tons of money. We can get rid of the pay-as-you-throw. But if you examine it and you made them get specific, because this financial team never gets specific. It's like this alternate universe that goes around in the sky when they talk about money. It's always rob Peter to pay Paul, Chinese checkers. You know, the reality is he's put it back in the budget because he doesn't want to explain how he could do it. And that's his fault. And as you said, if you truly want to get rid of it, you're the mayor. He could have got rid of it. As you said, CJ, he could have got rid of it. He could have told the city council, I'm not putting it back in the budget. You do what you got to do. I'm doing what I got to do. I am philosophically opposed, which he is, because we remember he was in favor of pay-as-you-throw.
Philosophically in favor.
Up until it became a re-election platform. So now he's got it for the next election. I tried to get rid of those bags. The city council wouldn't let me. And Steve Long not only doesn't want to get rid of the purple bags, he's still an advocate to fining the landlords, because he lives in a single-family house. He's got no tenant that will not abide by the law. But just like the illegal aliens, they don't have to abide by the law. Now your tenants don't have to abide by the law, and you have to pay for them. You got to pay your property tax, plus you got to pay their fines. And then if you evict them, they don't pay their rent for 6 or 8 months while you try to get them the hell out of your property. So again, thank you, and screw you, taxpayer.
It's always screw you, taxpayer. We can't win. Even when we try to win, we can't.
No.
And that's the sad part about it. And again, the Supreme Court ruled that Boston-based Wayfair has to collect sales taxes for various states.
Yeah.
The old Quill ruling doesn't apply to the internet, and it's not making it, and the reason why they said this is it's not competitive for local businesses because they have to collect the sales tax, but the internet retailers do not, which is a crock of malarkey. And I'm sorry, but it's bull.
Yeah. And it's just another way so they can do what they do best. Figure out a way to tax the regular people. But remember, call yourself a corporation and ask for a tip. Tell them you're expanding.
Yeah.
You're building a sunroom. Well, have a good weekend and stay angry.
Stay angry, people. Have a good weekend. We'll see you on Monday.